Today we are creating a lived-in coppery blonde balayage. So we have been doing permanent red for about a year using Alpha Parf. Alpha Parf fades really well, but we are super excited to go a little bit lighter for summer. So we started off with doing baby lights and teasy lights. I'm doing baby lights in the front and my assistant is doing teasy lights in the back. We are leaving just a little bit of wiggle room at her roots because we want to, one, kind of smudge into her natural color, but since her natural color is about a level 6 and it's pretty ashy compared to what we have, I do want to warm it up a little bit and turn it just a little bit more of a reddish brown at the top. For our lightener, we are using Schwarzkopf Blonde Me with a little bit of free lights from Wella. I like to add a little bit of the Wella free lights in my mixture just because it helps it to not swell quite so quickly. Also, if you have seen any of my previous videos, I do like to use these sectioning combs. I found a set just from Amazon. They honestly save me so much time and they are super easy to use, so I recommend those. I will link them down below. I found that when creating a look like this, especially when working through permanent color, it's best to take just super thin and fine sections and to start with a lower volume developer, so then you can really just let it process low and slow and you don't have to worry about over processing it. Once we have all of our base foils in, I am going to go in and do some tip outs through her ends. When I'm doing my tip outs, I always like to section off starting from mostly like the ends and then kind of break that apart. That will give it a lot more of a diffused look. I also like to always make sure I am painting at a very nice angle. That way we don't have any type of a distinct ombre, we don't have any weird lines or anything like that. To make things look the most natural, you want to make sure that you are increasing the brightness around the face and increasing the depth towards the back. That is what's going to look the most seamless as things grow out. That way things don't grow out all on the same point. This is what's going to give her a lot of longevity between looks. Also, my girl does have bangs, so I want to do a little bit of framing that works up into the bangs because I don't want her bangs to have not enough blonde in them, but I also don't want them to be solidly blonde. So if you can see my first foil, I angle up, and then this end I kind of start where the other one stopped, and I just kind of work my way up. That way, since her money piece section is exactly kind of where her bangs are, I want to kind of give the illusion that she still has indeed a money piece. So I am trying to build more of that brightness through her mids and her ends and doing a little bit more kind of minimal work through her bangs because we don't want it to look like we did a money piece but we fried off all of her hair and now she's just left with, you know, these short bangs in the front. So this is honestly a really good hack if your client has or wants a money piece but also has bangs. Just kind of place things like that and it'll look so beautiful. So you might be wondering why we opted to tease the sections in the back and I opted to really not tease them as much in the front. I want more depth in the back. I want everything to kind of be a little bit more lived in back there. And so I opt to tease a lot more in the back. Plus there's more hair in the back. So naturally I want it to just look very seamless and sun-kissed. So that's why I always tease the back just a little bit more than the front. If your client has more thick or more coarse hair, I would recommend doing more of like a chunkier weave section just so your pieces don't get lost. Since my girl has more fine hair, I can take really thin, fine baby sections and it looks really pretty and it lifts really well. But if they have very thick hair, if you do that, the light will almost just get like trapped in with all the rest and it won't shine through quite as much. So then once I'm onto the back, I always like to paint everything in just a deep V. That way I am getting the most depth in the very back, and then, you know, it's bringing some of that brightness up towards the face again. So you want to make sure that you're always thinking about your angles and that you're always oversaturating, you're always over blending. And you might think, oh, well, we have all those foils, you know, in between, so that will kind of break up the line, so I don't really have to worry about that as much. But no, if you want something that's going to look very seamless, you don't want to have any lines. So this is what we're using for our root and gloss formula. So I used both Colora by Oligo on the roots, and then I did Shades EQ by Redken for her ends. And this is just us kind of going through, brushing it through, applying her glossy gloss. I always like to let this sit on for about 20 minutes. That's normally the full processing time. Colora doesn't necessarily need that long, but I want to make sure that all of our lines of demarcation are nice and removed. So then we always just put a cap on just to catch any of the drippy drips. Then we're just going in and blow drying. We're going to finish her off with some curls. I did a little bit of detail cutting just to make sure everything was perfect. So this is just us curling. We always like to use our 1-inch curling irons. We like to finish off with some texture spray, and this is how it turned out. So I'm super happy with it. It's super beautiful. It is such a great step with us just kind of working towards blonde, but we still want to keep her hair super healthy. So it's so nice to kind of keep that little red mixed in there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one.